Hi, so this is my self-reflection video. I'm gonna go back and forth between reading what's on the computer and going over the results that I have on paper. So the first question is, what do you feel about your ability to manage time effectively? And I've always felt that I'm actually relatively strong in this. I know in general and in nursing especially, there's always room to improve time management. Nobody is perfect at it. It's just really easy to get caught up doing something, or you think you allot 20 minutes to a task and instead it takes 45. And so in general, there's always room for improvement, always ways to learn how to handle the wrenches that are thrown in. But I think I'm pretty strong in that area. I scored a 48 on the time management quiz that I took, which is, classified under manages time effectively. So I actually feel pretty good about that one. The second question is, what did you learn about your resiliency? And let me find the resiliency quiz, which I believe, yes. So for each area, the strongest area that I got was the flourishing, which is personally growing and developing, open to learning, enthusiastic, optimistic, and embraces change. The lowest score I got was the resistors, critical, narrow thinking, unconvinced, resists change, coping is stuck. And then I scored right around the middle, so I got an 18 in the flourishing, 7 in the resistors, and then in the drowning and the quitters, I got an 11 and 10 respectively. Characteristics of those are being overwhelmed, withdrawn, passive aggressive. I think the big one that got me in the quitters category was eager beginnings but implementation problems. So I'm not very surprised by these results either. I think it makes a lot of sense for me personally. I've always embraced change, and I've always been a big proponent for when you know better, you do better, and having the ability to admit that maybe I didn't know as much as I did before, so I did things differently, and now I've brought new evidence or opinions or information into light that's going to help me to act differently going forward. I think that just the way I grew up, there was a whole lot of change kind of consistently, and so I just learned to move along with things and go with the flow. And that's not to say to just accept anything, because sometimes things change unnecessarily or they change for the worse. Like, for example, my hospital just redid their staffing matrix, and because they got rid of shorter shifts, and they're making charge nurses take more patients. Even during the day, the charge nurse is expected to take 3 patients, 3 during the day, 4 at night, which is really a full patient load on top of all of their charge nurse duties. And during the day with multidisciplinary rounds and everything else that you have to do, it's just not realistic to expect that of a charge nurse, especially when they're supposed to be able to help the other nurses and be a resource if needed, and they're not gonna be able to do that. And they implemented the matrix change right along with crisis pay for COVID. So I think it's kind of clear that the way that they're covering the crisis pay is by limiting staffing, which doesn't really make much sense, because you're still going to have people who are working for their normal wage, doing their normal hours, and now they're working twice as hard and also putting their patients at risk, because ultimately, isn't that the point of all of this? The point of nursing is to keep our patients safe, help them improve. And when all that we're doing is looking at finances and the bottom line, it's really impossible to look at the safety of our patients. The two just don't go hand in hand. And so finding a balance is kind of key to that. And I don't think that we're doing a very good job. sorry about that. So that's that. Lincoln, I am